and it may be from the very moment police shot unarmed teenager Michael Brown. It was recorded inadvertently, we're told, during a video chat by a man who lives near the scene of the shooting in Ferguson, Missouri. CNN has not been able to independently verify this recording yet. CNN's Stephanie Elam has the very latest. What do we know, Stephanie?
Well, Allison, when you take a listen to this audio, for some people it might be a bit disturbing. But when you're listening, try to listen past the man you hear speaking and see what you hear behind him for yourself. Listen closely.
You are pretty. You're so fine. Just going over some of your videos. How could I forget?
This audio, obtained exclusively by CNN, allegedly the gunshots fired during the shooting death of 18-year-old Michael Brown. A lawyer for a Ferguson resident says her client recorded this audio while video chatting with a friend when the unarmed teen was shot by Ferguson police. His lawyer says he was questioned by the FBI about the audio. Listen again as you hear a series of gunshots fired, then a brief pause, followed by another round of shots.
You are pretty. You're so fine. Just going over some of your videos. How could I forget?
It's not just the number of gunshots, it's how they're fired. And that has a huge relevance on how this case might finally end up.
CNN cannot independently verify the authenticity of the tape and has reached out to the FBI for confirmation. Facing the possibility of charges in the shooting, 28-year-old officer Darren Wilson. The grand jury not expected to return a decision until mid-October. Heavy police presence, protest, and violence on Ferguson streets thrust the small community into the national spotlight.
Today is for peace. Peace and quiet.
Inside the Friendly Temple Missionary Baptist Church Monday, a somber homegoing to lay Michael Brown to rest.
Yes, we call him the gentle giant. We call him Big Mike. We call him Mike. He said one day the whole world will know my name.
Standing before her son's photos and his casket, his mother, Leslie McSpadden, grieving, wiping away tears. Among the thousands gathered inside were friends and family, and many who came to pay their respects to the slain teen, having never known Big Mike personally.
We're still not defeated.
Including well-known public figures like the Reverend Jesse Jackson and Spike Lee, who tweeted during the service, "Our brother Mike Brown's St. Louis Cardinals hat lays upon his casket here at the homegoing." On this day, protesters stayed silent, but mourners were reminded of the need for change.
Michael Brown's blood is crying from the ground, crying for vengeance, crying for justice.
And back to that audio recording, the question on many people's mind, what exactly was happening during that pause in the shooting? Allison?
All right, let's look into that, Stephanie. So stick with us for a second because we want to bring in Paul Ginsberg. He's an audio expert who has examined this new recording. Paul, thanks so much for being with us. Let's play the recording one more time and then see what you hear. Let's listen.
You are pretty. You're so fine. Just going over some of your videos. How could I forget?
Okay, Paul, now the reason that sounds so strange is because there's a man simultaneously having an audio chat with a woman, and we think that he had earbuds in, so he doesn't respond to the gunshots that we hear caught on that ambient audio tape. What do you hear as an expert?
I hear 6 shots being fired in rapid succession, followed by a pause of about 3 seconds. I'll have to measure that precisely. And then there are, I believe, 4 more shots. I've made a plot and I've examined it both in real time as well as in halftime to be able to get more precise information.
So you hear 6 shots, then you hear a pause, then you hear 4 more shots.
Exactly.
Okay,
that's right. And they all appear to be about the same type of signature. In other words, same type of weapon.
Okay, let's play that again and see if we can hear what you, the expert, hear. Let's play it one more time.
You are pretty. You're so fine. Just going over some of your videos. How could I forget?
Paul, we should mention that you have analyzed many audio tapes from crime scenes, including the gunshots from the Newtown massacre in Connecticut. So how vital if this tape is proved verifiably true to be of Michael Brown's shooting, how critical do you think that this could be in the investigation?
Well, this will test the credibility of the officer and whatever else is included in the official report as to how many shots were fired, what type of weapon was used, was it reloaded, and was it from the same gun? Sure.
Stephanie, we were told, as you well know, that Michael Brown was shot 6 times. How do you think this changes the investigation?
Well, we know that he could have been hit 6 times. Doesn't mean that there weren't more shots fired. And that's where the lack of clarity has been. Like, the only thing that we know for sure is that there were 2 young men walking in the street when an officer engaged them. After that, it becomes a game of he said, he said. And so that's what we don't know. What this could possibly help do is add another plane, another texture to this investigation. And really, I do think it comes down to that pause. What was going on there? Now, on the police side, they're saying that Mike Brown was reaching for the officer's weapon. On the other side, they say that he had his hands up and he was saying, don't shoot, I'm unarmed. What this pause does is it adds texture to that question.
But from the police side, Stephanie, they also, I mean, we understand that Darren Wilson, the officer, said that he believed that Mike Brown was charging him or preparing to charge towards him. So that pause might have been what was happening there?
Well, that's the thing. It could have been. But remember, where the distance between where his body was found and where the officer was, from what we know at this point, and remember, there's a lot of questions out there still, it was not when he was right up on top of the car. So that lack of clarity, and again, this is just audio, it just adds another layer to that investigation of figuring out exactly what was happening then.
Well, it could have been reloading, it could have been turning around and so on. They may want to do an acoustic analysis of test firing a gun and setting up the fellow's iPad or whatever at the location where this chat occurred to take measurements and to see under different circumstances what they hear.
Paul, you did a time, domain, waveform pattern. How does that differ from what you're suggesting investigators do?
Okay, that's just a pictorial representation of what exactly we hear. They will do the same thing, but they may do it under test circumstances to compare, to see how long does it take to reload. In other words, shoot 6 shots, take the clip out, reload, and shoot some more, and see whether that compares to what I've got.
Stephanie, very quickly, have the people in Ferguson had a chance to respond to this new audio yet?
This is all just coming out. I spent a lot of time on the street where Mike Brown was killed yesterday, and the people there are hoping that this investigation, they seem to be hopeful in the FBI investigation, will shed more light on this. But how this audio is being received, we'll have to see as the sun comes up here in Ferguson.